It's a tale that has become legendary in aviation history, a landing so dramatic, so risky, and one that defied the odds. So much so that even Hollywood is thinking of making a movie out of it. It was 35 years ago that Air Canada Flight 143 lost power on its way from Montreal to Edmonton, and the pilots managed to glide the plane safely and landed here on this trip in Gimli, Manitoba.
They made Canadian aviation history.
July 23, 1983, Captain Bob Pearson and his co-pilot Maurice Quintal pilot a Boeing 747 en route to Edmonton with 61 passengers and 8 crew members on board. But an error in calculation involving a switch from the imperial system to metric meant that the plane only had enough fuel for half its flight and lost power mid-air.
The engines failed at about 30-odd thousand feet, and they had to glide. Fortunately, Captain Bob Pearson was an established glider pilot, and so he was now in the world's biggest glider.
Winnipeg was too far away, but co-pilot Quintal happened to train in Gimli, Manitoba, and was able to advise Pearson that there were runways long enough for their landing. The captain chose a runway at an old Air Force base.
That's the runway that Captain Pearson first saw, and that's the one he committed to land on, because he only had one shot to get it right. And he did not know that it had been converted to a racetrack.
We looked up into the sky and saw this giant airliner making its way through the sky.
Art Zook and his 2 friends were teenagers at the time, hanging out at the racetrack on their bikes. The friends, now referred to as the Runway Boys, saw as Captain Pearson angled the plane to slow down, but didn't realize it was heading right towards them.
And as it hit the ground, that was the only time I really heard a sound, and it was this deep thud, and you just felt the earth move. We didn't have a sense that it was heading our direction, and given the side slip maneuver that Captain Pearson was doing, it was difficult to tell even which direction the plane was going. You see something that's that unbelievable, that incredible. It just takes a while for it to even sink in that this is really happening.
Miraculously, Pearson landed the plane successfully with no passengers or crew members getting injured and no one on the ground getting hurt.
So the 2 of them together managed to, through their skill and planning and keeping their cool, saved everyone on board and saved the aircraft too.
The Gimli Glider, a phenomenal accomplishment in aviation, inspiring documentaries, books, and TV dramas. Now, as I mentioned, this story may get the Hollywood treatment, but it is still early days in terms of what may become of that. As for this weekend, Captain Pearson will be here to commemorate the 35th anniversary, and there will be several events to mark that legendary day. In Gimli, Manitoba, Natividad, City News.